count on the buttery flavor of our own Bastion bourbon.
He wolfs down too much too fast, and it all goes to his head. I've said a lot about the kid, but he ain't the only one wrapped up in all this. What's he thinking? Well, let me see if I got this straight. I only heard it once. Once there was a normal Ura girl, but she wasn't born in the Tassel terminals like the rest of her people. She was from Ceylondia. Her folks were orphaned in the war, taken in and raised inside the city, on condition they would never return to the terminals. Now, where were we? Ura refugees who came into the city had to stay for life. It was a way to reduce the risk of city secrets leaking out. Mama passed away from birthing complications, leaving the girl trapped inside that city with no one but her father. Father was sharper than a brusher's pike, so he got a job working for the city's mancers. His daughter barely saw him. Her father told her nothing of her Ura heritage. He told her nothing of the Mansers. It's for your own good, he said. She took to studying the arts, learned more through music than history books, gained a knack for strings and songs. Lost my train of thought there. At first, she tried to be like other girls, but her classmates spread word that her father was an Ura trader, selling out the city. One young man stood up for her, or so he led her to believe. He knew much of her heritage, and she grew fond of him. Convinced her to take him to a family den to meet her father. Spoke of how he wanted to meet a man from the terminals. Well, I digress. Just can't get enough of that good home cooking, can he? Knocks him into an uneasy sleep. What's he thinking? Well, let me see if I got this straight. I only heard it once. Once there was a normal girl, but she wasn't born in the Tazzle terminals like the rest of her people. She was from Ceylondia. Her folks were orphaned in the war, taken in and raised inside the city, on condition they would never return to the terminals. Refugees who came into the city had to stay for life. It was a way to reduce the risk of city secrets leaking out. Mama passed away from birthing complications, leaving the girl trapped inside that city with no one but her father. Father was sharper than a brusher's pike, so he got a job working for the city's manses. His daughter barely saw him. father told her nothing of her Ura heritage. He told her nothing of the Mansers. It's for your own good, he said. She took to studying the arts, learned more through music than history books, gained a knack for strings and songs. Now, where were we? At first, she tried to be like other girls, but her classmates spread word that her father was an Ura trader, selling out the city. One young man stood up for her, or so he led her to believe. He knew much of her heritage, and she grew fond of him. The young man convinced her to take him to her family den to meet her father. Spoke of how he wanted to meet a man from the terminals. When the young man greeted her father in the Ura's native language, her father flew into a fit of rage and threw them out. The young man never told her that the Ura's native language is not to be used by foreigners. To do so is a terrible insult. Lost my train of thought there. It was then that she decided to escape. The two of them could flee the city together and go to the Tassel terminals. inside a garbage bin until it got ingested by a scumbag, then let him slosh on out of the city for disposal. Succeeded, but the authorities were already there when that scumbag sidled up to the city walls. The young man had sent the authorities a tip, told him her father was using her to sell secrets to the Tazzle terminals.
Someday your bird is gonna fly. Until that war until it's done.
She and her father were arrested for treason, but her father got a deal. Returned to work for the Mansers, and she'd go free.
But now you got nowhere to run. So big that won't let build it strong, 'cause we'll be there for too long.
Before they parted ways for the last time, her father whispered a desperate plea. Hurry home to the den and lock yourself in.
I dig my hole, you build a wall. I dig my hole, you build a wall. One day that wall is gonna fall. Don't build that city on a hill. Don't build that city on a hill. Someday those tears are gonna spill.
She did as she was told, and deep down underground inside that den, she found a journal written in her father's hand. The next day, the door to the den turned to ash. The girl came up for air, and she saw the calamity all around her. Kid wakes up, his world still in pieces, just the way he left it. He's a little gruff at times. Never would have pegged the kid as the bookish type. You don't get to be my age without learning a thing or two about what's what. But the most valuable lessons come early in life. I ain't much for worldly things, though all these years I've held on to a stash of old books from when I was young. There's one old book in particular I still like to read from time to time. It covers the important things, in a manner of speaking. Here we go. A is for Kobe, the goddess of oath and abandon. Make a promise, and the chastened maid will hold you to it. B is for Breaker. He's faster than a fork of lightning, and his aim is always true. If news needs spreading, tell it to a breaker. C is for core, a perfect bit of stone found deep underground. It makes the city shine day and night. Is there anything it can't do? D is for dread rum, a potent spirit brewed from a foul-smelling plant that grows in the wilds. One taste will sharpen your senses. E is for evacuation. In an emergency, stay calm, leave your belongings, and make your way to the nearest safe haven. F is for foundation, a solid plot of land for building anything you can imagine. Even grand ideas start small. G is for Garmuth, the god of purpose and folly. The crippled Duke reminds us that good intentions are nothing on their own. H is for Hensa, goddess of pain and pleasure. You can't have one without the other. The veiled widow makes sure of it. Is for In Case of Trouble, a song grown famous across the land, dedicated to the pioneering spirit of Caelondia. god of health and atrophy. We each have the Tower Keeper's strength in us, until that strength runs out. K is for kid, a guy or gal just like you. Don't be in such a hurry to grow up, since there's nothing a kid can't do. L is for Lemaine, the god of hope and despair. The Mason King knows that success and failure are all in the mind. M is for Messiah, our goddess of loss and longing. We all are born from the Lorn Mother, and in the end, we all return to her. for Nordy, the bird boy, who's always there to bring a smile at the hanging gardens, thanks to his feathered friends. For Alec, our young god of chance and whim. The carefree son lives forever in the moment. The rest of us can only try. P is for Pith, the god of commotion and order. When the wakeful bull is calm, let's all do our part to keep him that way. Q is for Queen Anne, the notorious ankle gator from the wilds. She can even dig her way into rotten children's dreams. Still with me? R is for Rothus, the god of thirst and plenty. The gorging host reminds us to always know when we've had enough. S is for Scumbag, a big lumpy old fellow who sidles about. He loves eating trash. Just be sure to keep a healthy distance from him. T is for Trigger, the army's sharpest shooter. Take pride in Caelondia's mounted soldiers. They risk it all to keep us safe. U is for Ura, our pale neighbors to the east, whose homes are underground. Each day we learn to live in harmony. V is for Vigil, an act in remembrance. The sacrifices of our forefathers gave us a new beginning here in Zealandia. W is for Weepin' Nelly, the Langston River's fastest little ferry barge. We couldn't have crossed that river without her help. X is for nothing. Stranger's letter in the mix. Yet even the stranger's letter has its use, as you couldn't have a mailbox without one. Let me think. Y is for you, Drake. The god of impulse and bravery. Each time the morning stallion stamps his hoof, somebody out there makes up his mind. Z is for Zolwood, a tough old plant whose gourds make great target practice. Whatever you do, don't eat 'em. The end. There's nothing after Z. Used to be one more page in here, though, before somebody tore it out. Know what it said? The last page of this book was about the author. Didn't say much, but the imagination has a way of filling in the gaps. Everybody starts small, then some of us work our way up, I suppose.